Welcome to the Growing Your Business podcast, a program created to answer the question, what's in it for me, for both the business and their customers. Today's guest had this to say.
I'm POW, and my motto is protecting you before and after the storm.
Nice.
And it was actually that way in the insurance business.
Sure.
So I kept the same motto going into the weather business. And this is ideally the same model that I go into the Storm Hero business, which is we do Generac generators. A lot of people, it kind of releases their anxiety if they lose power, then they're not going to have any downtime of electricity.
Now, stay tuned as we hear more on their values, mission, and why they continue to grow their business. Joining me today on the Growing Your Business podcast is Roy Ponder of Ponder on Weather and Storm Hero. Roy, thanks for joining me in the studio.
Awesome. Thanks for having me.
Now, you're a seasoned broadcaster, a weatherman, and all these things. So this is not new to you, being in the lights in the studio with the microphone.
Right.
And you have, so let's first want to know a lot about Ponder on Weather,
Sure.
which is a pretty massive following, YouTube channel and other media, website and whatnot. Let's talk about what you do there.
Sure. Oh, again, my name's Roy Ponder. I had Ponder on Weather. I grew up in Houston. I went through Hurricane Alicia back in '83 when I was 8 years old. The power went out for 3 weeks, and I was just kind of in awe of Mother Nature, the power of it, and so I was just one of those guys that I just kind of fell in love with the weather as a kid. But I was also one that kind of really never went to school for it. But we fundraised a lot. We ran a lot of marathons back in the day. And I always forecast my running group, and then one day my wife, kind of as a birthday present, really, kind of by default, she actually created the Facebook page for me.
Yeah.
And POW Ponder on Weather, which would ultimately named it later.
Yeah.
And I started as a hobby. It was because I truly just loved the weather.
Yeah.
And it was just one of those things that just it over time with weather events and me going live and everything like that. I started to formulate kind of a business around it too, because I networked a lot for many years. I was actually in the insurance business for many years. That was my full-time job, and did weather as a hobby.
Yeah.
And obviously I did a lot of networking, and one day I kind of had the epiphany where I could go as the weather guy, because I could be the unicorn. I could just go to every one of them.
Oh,
right?
yeah. Yep. That is unique. Yes.
So kind of did that for a while. And then it was actually one of those things where I just got really busy, right? Going to work, full-time job, and doing the weather, because the weather's 7 days a week. And
Nice.
get off at 8 to 5. There's no 8 to 5 in the weather.
It's all around us all the time. Yeah.
3 o'clock in the morning. When's storm going to get? 3 o'clock in the morning.
Especially then. Yeah.
Right. So that's kind of how it all started, really.
Yeah. So when did you start? So Ponder on Weather started with.
So that was actually back in 2017.
Okay.
So I started
Yeah.
the Facebook page, kind of like just part-time as
Sure.
a hobby. In 2017, I started a YouTube channel. I think it was like 2019 in the summer. And then I think it was March of 21, it got to the point where I came home one day. I asked my wife if I can quit my job, and because I was just like burnt out. I was worn out, and it's like, so I did. I literally, and we talked about it. I used to work for James Jenkins.
Yeah.
And he was actually his idea, technically.
Yeah.
So we talked about it. It was a mutual agreement, and I literally just quit the next day.
Yeah. And for those watching and listening, James Jenkins, if you'll go into our show history, he was a guest early on. So with Riskwell Insurance. So check that episode out. So that's great. So you have that relationship there, but you knew that this was for you. And what was the catalyst? Was the amount of subscribers? Obviously, the amount of time you were spending and the passion you had for
Well,
it.
it was a point to where, you had to actually make money doing the weather.
Yeah.
So I did have to the point where, I had a lot of followers.
Yeah.
And so I had a YouTube channel. I was monetized on YouTube. And at the time, then I had some sponsors that I would advertise for, promote their business as well. And it was a combination of all that, where I was making a decent living. So if I quit today, then, what could I do to possibly recoup my, and so it was one of those things. I had to make an educated decision, but it really didn't, I guess it really didn't take me long.
Yeah.
Because again, the weather's 7 days a week, and
Yeah.
I was only doing it maybe, 2 or 3 days a week. So if I did it now 7, then which I still do now.
Yeah.
So it just kind of snowballed from there.
Sure. Yeah, you had a post yesterday about what the current weather conditions and this time of year, and we're both, live here in Texas. It's talking about it all the time. It's constantly changing. I check.
It's very volatile.
Yeah,
right.
I have to check moment by moment.
This is probably the most volatile time of the year, right? Because
really
there's so many dynamics in the atmosphere. One can affect the other. Of course, we're in the middle part of the country. Texas is always one of the more challenging parts of areas to forecast.
Yeah.
Right. It really is.
It happens fast. Well, I was gonna say, what's your favorite season?
Oh gosh. Well, obviously I love winter, but I mean, I don't know. I like hurricane season. I like the forecasting, right? That's my draw to the weather because I love the forecasting part. Sometimes I don't like the outcome because, people can get a lot of hail and destruction and tornadoes, but the challenge of it forecasting, right? So sometimes I try to push the envelope a little bit and maybe go beyond the 7-day, comfort zone and try to, especially in the wintertime. I love those. Hey, we got this polar vortex event. It's going to get cold in about 3 weeks. It's like, but right now it's about 20 miles up in the stratosphere. It's going to be taking a while. So that type of stuff. And then hurricanes too. I guess the challenge of it. It's like, hey, we got a African wave coming off the coast, where's it going to go? When's it going to hit? Is it going to hold together? And, what's going to spin off that? And, sometimes, obviously, summer can get a little bit boring. Sometimes with the kind of a dullness of it, but that's where the hurricane season kicks in.
Yeah. Well, talk to me about the tools of the trade. It's because most of us, my version of being a weather person is licking my finger and holding it up, because that's really the best I can do, and just see what the sky is doing all around.
I think it's a combination of a little bit of everything. Obviously, we have weather models. I mean, a lot of the weather guys have access to the same technology, same models that we all have, right? Yeah. But I think I have a benefit here because I'm a native Texan. I grew up in Houston. I lived here all my life, and you get familiar with I'll be 50 and next week actually. Awesome. So you get familiar with the weather patterns, the analogs, the history before. So you kind of have I have a good great idea of what's going to happen based on prior outcomes, previous outcomes that maybe occurred before with different types of weather events and kind of setups. If we're in a Enso neutral phase, or if we're in a La Nina phase or an El Nino phase, this is mimicking 2012. This is mimicking 1993, or, that type stuff. I like to dive a little bit deeper than, I look at models, but I also look at water temperatures, where the cold and heat, warm blobs are, and all that type stuff. All that really plays a huge role in the weather. Yeah.
So tell me more about your YouTube channel. Like what content are you putting out there regularly that we should tune into?
Well, I forecast nationwide on YouTube. It's pretty much on a daily basis, sometimes more or less 5 days a week at least. But same thing I do on Facebook, I do on YouTube, where I kind of hit the highlights, really.
Where the weather,
it's the entire nation.
Yeah.
Right. So obviously you could, it depends on the time of year. It could be a blizzard in New England, but then, there's storming in Texas and nice weather in California. So it depends on where you live in the country. So, but break it down, give people kind of a daily update on what they can expect. I got a lot of truck drivers that follow me. I've got a lot of people that follow me from around the nation, and people follow me for different things, right? It's so they either like your content, that you're accurate, they like your personality, they like just the way you present the weather, and so the weather is more like when they, obviously they gotta like you. They gotta follow you because you get a lot of options out there.
Sure.
But that, so I give people the best forecast that I think that's actually going to happen. And, hey, I can be wrong. I'm not perfect.
It's a difficult business to be right in. Yeah.
It's not designed to be right every time, right? If you're, that's the challenge of it all. That's, I would love the challenge. I would hate to have, hey, it's going to rain at 2:37 every day, or whatever. Then it's like, well, what's the fun of that?
Yeah.
I want to figure it out.
Right. And there's the atmosphere. There's so many things affecting it. It's like the whole chaos theory, whatever, the butterfly flapping its wings. I
Oh,
mean, that
yes.
does it can affect something else. Just us moving around, driving our cars,
It's
just
you don't
traffic.
even understand.
Yeah.
Like it's like when these
The
severe weather
craziest
events
algorithm
and
imaginable.
the warm air aloft, and is the cap going to hold? And we got an enhanced risk, and it's going to large hail, and then nothing happens.
Right.
Right. Well, the cap was stronger than what was expected,
Yeah.
but it was maybe off by like 1 degree. And people don't realize sometimes it's 1 degree was the difference, or it could have been in 20 minutes we could have had baseball size hail. But for the average person, they just, it busted and it just didn't happen. Which, yes, you're right, but it could have easily went the other way, like very quickly. So that is the challenging part, and that's what you get predominantly here. And a lot of parts of the country, Amarillo, Colorado is another one that's very difficult. I mean, anywhere that you get. It was snowing in Amarillo 2 weeks ago, and then the following Sunday it hit 80 degrees.
Right.
I mean, I hit 100 degrees actually in the Panhandle.
Incredible.
I mean, like obviously those are big extremes, right? Those are going to be the more challenging parts. I mean, you go to Hawaii, what's the temperature? It's like, it's 85 and during the day, 75 at night. What's the temperature at Christmas? 85 during the day, 75 at night.
It's a completely different climate than
so,
Texas.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So
that's fascinating. I want to transition to you're wearing the shirt here and represent the business Storm Hero. Tell me about what Storm Hero does.
Well, Storm Hero is a protection company, storm protection company.
Yeah.
So I got involved I'm POW, and my motto is protecting you before and after the storm.
Nice.
And it was actually that way in the insurance business.
Sure.
So I kept the same motto going into the weather business. And this is ideally the same model that I go into the Storm Hero business, which is we do Generac generators. A lot of people, it kind of releases their anxiety if they lose power, then they're not going to have any downtime of electricity.
Yeah.
And sometimes we can get extended power outages,
Sure.
right? Or storm shelters. I always preach, hey, we're in a tornado warning, go to your storm shelter. Or like, pal, I don't have a storm shelter. Now I can offer that, right? And then also the lightning rod system. So a lightning rod system is designed to kind of like feed the energy away from the property. So it can't like stop your house from getting hit by lightning, but can then prevent it from possibly doing damage or catching fire. So that's the goal, is to redirect the energy and drive it into the ground. And that's the purpose of a lightning rod system. And, this storms seems like they're getting, I don't know, more numerous and bigger and more extreme. And of course, lightning is one of those things that doesn't have to be severe. It can just be a regular garden variety thunderstorm. You can still have lightning and you can still have your house catch on fire.
Oh, sure.
And it happens so fast. And it can be devastating quickly. 20 minutes, your house could be gone.
Stay with us. The Growing Your Business podcast will return right after this. Ready to amplify your brand's voice? At Blue Mike Studios, we transform your ideas into captivating podcasts and videos. Whether you're launching your own show or guest starring on ours, we've got you covered. From recording and editing to social media promotion. With state-of-the-art 4K video and crystal clear audio, your content will shine. We offer guest packages on our podcasts and offer segments from the show for you to share. Or let us help you build your own branded podcast with custom strategy, branding, and full production support. Visit BlueMikeStudios.com today and let your voice be heard. Please check our show notes for sponsorship links and additional details. Now, back to the Growing Your Business podcast with Buddy Broyles. So, with POW, Roy, you have the ability to go live all the time. Keep us informed at the moment versus a lot of the other, I'd say the broadcasters, if you will, and other people in the weather business. You have the ability with your knowledge and training and your history in the industry to keep us up to date wherever we are. Tell me about that.
Well, sometimes it can be as simple as just a garden variety thunderstorms, but they wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning and it's thunder and they're hitting some tings on the window, even though it might be some pea-sized hail. They just want to know it's like not any worse than that, and they're good, right? And so by me going online at 3 o'clock in the morning, even just making a post, adds that level of security that they're going to have to wait till the news comes on at 5 a.m. to get the weather. Well, by that time it's gone.
Yeah.
Right. And so at that instant gratification where they just get woken up, they can go right to a social media page and go, hey, what's POW say? And 9 times out of 10, there's going to be an update on there, like pretty quick.
Yeah.
I mean, regardless of what time of night it is, because I mean, I kind of wake up for, I don't know, but I know it's coming. I know there's when stuff I could be like sleep with one eye open.
Yeah.
To keep people updated, because they, over time they depend on that now that they rely on that. And so and that's what I'm there for, to add that other extra security blanket to make them feel peace.
Yeah.
When they need it the most.
And in my experience, some of the weather apps, they conflict. So what's interesting is my wife, the apps she uses, she has an iPhone, I have an Android. The apps are completely different. And sometimes I wouldn't say they're opposite, but mine will predict rain when hers doesn't, so that's crazy. So if we tune into so you have the YouTube channel, Facebook.
I do have my own app as well.
That's what I was going to ask is how can we download your app? So we're completely
I'm on Apple and Android. You can go to POW, Ponder on Weather.
Perfect.
And download the app. And it's updated multiple times a day. And of course, I'm updating multiple times a day. If you can't get it from the app, you can get it straight from the source.
Excellent.
But yeah, it's I go live during high impact events. Either online or in the backyard sometimes, or just post a lot. Right. And they can always go on my wall and scroll down and see the latest post, because 9 times out of 10 there's probably going to be an update.
And what I like about what you're doing is you're not going to interrupt golf.
Well, and that's the thing.
He's like, you can still watch golf.
It never
and basketball.
fails. It's a Sunday night and the Cowboys game's on, and they got national televised network and tornadoes on the ground, right? And they're fighting because they can't tap in because the Cowboys are on the 3-yard line. They're about ready to score.
Yeah,
right. It happens, and it has happened.
Yeah,
right. Big event was October 20th in 2019. We had 10 tornadoes on the ground and. Cowboy game we're on, right? And some storms are very chilling. There was a follower that about 3 months later said, "Hey, I just want to thank you because you saved my parents' life. They weren't even like actually watching you at the time, but my brother was. My brother called them. They got off the couch and said, you need to take shelter now. They looked up. They looked across the window. There was a transformer that blew. They went into the bathroom. 30 seconds later, the roof came off the house.
Oh my God. Yeah.
I mean, that's kind of stuff. It's like, it's real life, you know, but during the heat of the moment, you're forecasting, you're telling people, hey, it's going to hit that Home Depot and you need to take shelter. The Home Depot got demolished, right? It's real, right? It's you don't know the impact that you're having on people at the time that's happening. When Prosper had that, or Salina had that tornado, it was devastating. It came from Valley View, 47 miles on the ground, right? That's crazy. Yeah. And then it lifted, then it pulsed back down and went to an EF4. But I mean, people were glued to me saying, hey, cause I mean, it killed 7 people. Do you realize that was the strongest tornado of the season, and the most deadliest actually tornado of the season, the one that was in Valley View last year.
Wow.
May 23rd. Yeah. 7 people.
That's incredible. I
mean, it's unbelievable. Hit a, and it could have been more than that. There's a mobile home park. They just got completely obliterated. It's devastating. And it can happen so quick.
Yeah. And that's why you got to stay tuned and stay in tune because you're there. And so if you'll scroll down, if you're listening or watching on YouTube, scroll down, and every link that I have for Roy that he's given me is there. So you got an app, you got the website, you got YouTube, Facebook. There are others that'll be there.
I'm on TikTok a little bit.
Sure,
I mean, you know, of course, Twitter. But
you're where weather can be found.
Oh, yes. Social media. You type in Pal Ponder on Weather. It'll tell you where to find me.
That's awesome. Well, I really appreciate you coming in, joining me today in the studio, Roy, and sharing, your vast knowledge, obviously your passion for what you do and how you help people.
Awesome. Well, thanks for having me. I really enjoyed it.
Thank you for joining us today on the Growing Your Business podcast. Please see the show notes for links to our sponsors, our social media, and to learn more about today's guest.